And I just want to echo Chris's sentiments there in terms of thanking everybody for joining this session. It's great to see such a number of people join. So I really do hope that this afternoon's session will be really useful to you. I'm not an IT whiz by any stretch of the imagination, so you're probably going to see some kind of glitches or issues, and it'll be my fault. So bear with me. Yeah, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm going to do my blinking best. So this afternoon's session, again, starting with a sincere thank you for joining it. So as Chris said there, very briefly, I'm a QPO. You'll find in this world there's lots of acronyms. I'm sure you've already come across many. QPO stands for Quality Performance Officer. I work for the Adult Social Care and Health team, and I'm one of a team of QPOs, each of us having different specialisms. And my particular specialism is day services and day opportunities, around which I'd love to support you to explore all the available opportunities out there. So we've got a really exciting day planned. It's jam-packed with speakers wishing to share information around many of the support solutions available within Wigan Council's adult social care and health teams, together with an individual who is an expert by experience. So that's Jordan, and we'll speak to Jordan in a few more minutes, and he's really keen to share his story with you. So this evening, before we crack on with this afternoon's proceedings, just to breeze this past you really, this evening we're taking the opportunity to explore transition and meet with members of the transitions team. We'll hear from colleagues from within the direct payments team who will explain more about those payment arrangements. We'll also learn about both internal day services and all the options there, together with the external services that are available too. But first, this afternoon, as mentioned, I'd like to introduce you to Jordan. Now, Jordan has chosen to employ a team of PAs, their personal assistants, who deliver a very bespoke package of care that he's designed himself. So let's hear a little bit more about this from Jordan himself. Are you there, Jordan?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Really good to see you. So I've just got a couple of questions, Jordan, that I'd like to ask you, and take your time in answering these, because I'm sure the information will be really important for people that are on this call. Is that all right? Are you ready to start, Jordan?
Yes, Lee, I'm ready.
Brilliant, top man. So, Jordan, what are direct payments?
So a direct payment is where you get a pot of money from the council, and it's where you can employ your own staff, and you can organise your own support. You can decide what to do and when and what to do with it. Such as so I like, for example, I'll go into it further in a bit, everyone, but for example, I volunteer at Embrace Wigan and Leigh, which is a charity, so that's what my PAs facilitate me to do.
That sounds brilliant, Jordan. And maybe if we could ask you to tell us a bit more about that in a few moments' time, that would be great. But I'm interested to know, Jordan, how long have you been using direct payment arrangements?
I've been using direct payment arrangements since I was 16. And at the time when I first started, I used the direct payments for going to watch Wigan Athletic and Wigan Warriors, because they're quite two big passions of mine. I also used it when I attended Duke of Edinburgh, which obviously started me working with Embrace, and which I still do now. And another reason I use direct payments is I was very, very fortunate to go to a residential college for 5 years of my life in Coventry, studying media and sport. So I use this for my PAs to drop me off in term time and pick me up in the holidays. And then when I had my holidays off, I would do things that I enjoy in my holidays as well.
It sounds absolutely brilliant. It seems as if it's working really well for you, this, Jordan. So there's lots of flexibility. There's lots of decisions to be made. Does anybody help you with your direct payment?
Yes, my mum helps me quite a lot with the paying side of it, like bringing payroll and interviewing staff. So what system we have is, say, like if I put an advert out in Embrace, for example, my mum and dad will meet them first, and if they like the PA, they'll say Jordan, we've found a good PA for you that'd be good for you, and then I get to meet them. But going on to that is when I get to meet them, I get to make the final decision whether I want to employ these people, because they're working with me, and they also help me with managing problems. So like if we have to lose staff, which has happened in the past, they help me dealing with that and trying to find other staff.
Okay. So why did you choose to use direct payments, Jordan?
I chose direct payments. One of the main reasons is to choose my own staff, and to able to do my own thing. So not to be restricted in what I do, because I've got a lot of passions in life, which I'll go on to later on, and I'll expand on why and things like that, and control over what I do and when, because there's no, with the direct payments I have, there's no restrictions in what I can do. So it's literally, I'll go home and I'll say to my mum or my dad, I'm going to the pictures on Wednesday, and they'll just they just let me go, because I choose to sort that out. I have the freedom and I choose to sort things out like that. So it's just the freedom element of it, really.
Well, tell us more about the advantages of direct payments then. What's the advantages?
The advantages, like I've just mentioned now, is choosing your own staff. So I've got two staff members called Emma and Brad, and Emma, we get on really well. We have a laugh together. I can speak to her about anything. We go around Wigan clubbing. We do anything I want, and it's good because you have, sometimes in life you don't want to speak to your parents about things, so it's sometimes a support network for me as well. And I've got one big passion at the moment, and it's because of Emma. I coach Wigan St Cuthbert's under 15s. I coach the team. I go and train the team. So from knowing Emma, because her son plays for St Cuthbert's Rugby, I've gained a passion, and I've also gained a family through the rugby. And because I'm well respected, all the players know me, they listen to me. So it's not all about a support network. I gain passions in what I want, in what I do. So,
well, you've told us a bit about some of the things you do. Take a few minutes to tell us about the kind of things that you do with your direct payments. Give us some insight.
Yeah. So one of my things I love to do is I love to go watching Wigan Athletic. So the PA's role, if on a typical day if I was going watching Athletic, would be they'd take me to the stadium. I've got friends at the football, so I'll go and meet them and have a drink with them. So they'll facilitate me going in the bar, maybe getting my drink for me, and things like that. And I go to the away matches. So the farthest I've travelled is probably Wembley Stadium. I've been to Wembley, luckily 3 times now, watching Latics, and I'll honestly say it's been the few best days of my life. Going up to London, watching my team that I'm passionate about. So, and another thing I do is I work at Embrace Wigan and Lee, which I do welfare calls for isolated people in the community. And if the people I talk to want to be connected to community groups like coffee mornings or things like that, that's my sort of job role. But I feel like being at Embrace and volunteering, I feel like I've got a purpose. I feel like I've got a purpose, and I feel like I'm giving back to the community. And my PA helps with that by bringing me to the office, and if I'm ringing the people who I do welfare calls for, they'll help me dial the number to ring them. And if I'm writing a document or a letter, for example, I had to do yesterday for one of my beneficiaries, they'd help me set the letter out, so I know how to set it out, and I'll write the content for it, but they'll help me make sure it's readable and help me with that. Which the reason I like that is because they don't take over what I do, they're just there to help. Again, like I mentioned before, coaching at St Cuthbert's Rugby has been a massive thing for me over the past few months. So my PAs will facilitate me by doing taking me to games, taking me to training. So the furthest Emma's had to put up with me going is Dalton-in-Furness, because we had an away game at Dalton-in-Furness. So it was an early get up, it was an early kick off, but I just love every minute of it. And on last Saturday, I went to the under-15s presentation evening, where I got invited to do a speech. The players wanted me to do a speech, the coach wanted me to do a speech, so I did a speech about the season and how proud I am of the team and of the boys. And it's just a great setting to be around, and I just can't wait for next season. And another thing I do, which I've started pretty recently, is I have personal training sessions at the PT studio in Wigan. So I get trained by a guy called Danny Dowd. He's in a wheelchair, so that's good because we learn like wheelchair skills. We do body weight stuff, so I can move around, get out of my chair myself, and move freely. But my PAs help me with this by taking me to the gym, getting me there, and possibly helping my PT set up equipment, because sometimes he can't lift the equipment to where I need it. So they'll do that, and they'll help me put my weight training belt on, so obviously I don't injure myself. So the next thing that I do as well, which is with Embrace, but going on, it's to combat isolation in the community. I run a gaming club, so Wigan Youth Zone, every Monday, and that's just where we have consoles such as PS4s, Xboxes, PlayStations, and we just game really. Just got a good selection of games. We game, and what we started doing as well recently is we've found that sometimes people don't want to game, so we'll get board games out and verbally interact with the people that go there, and we've found over the past few weeks that people enjoy that, so we're going to make more of a focus on that in the upcoming weeks of that. My PAs help me set up the equipment, so like help me set the consoles up, because some of the wiring to set up consoles behind the TV, so I can't physically do that myself. So I just direct them what I need them to do, really, and they get involved if we're doing like games and stuff. They get involved. So then they've got, so when I'm at gaming club, if they're struggling with something that I can't physically achieve, they can ask my PA to help with that. When on a Wednesday I have a free day, So I'm not working. I'm not doing gaming club, so I tend to do what I enjoy doing. So this Wednesday I'm going watching the snooker at Bolton Stadium. So my PAs would help by facilitating getting tickets because I'm not confident in regards to booking tickets. So they'll help me with that. They'll take me to the event. They'll stay with me, and if I need like personal care or a drink getting, like I mentioned before, they'll help me do that.
I tell you what, you sound like a really busy man. I don't know you from all the same. You really are. So, Jordan, there'll be people on this call maybe haven't heard of what direct payments are. Maybe some people are even thinking of exploring direct payments. So, what advice might you have for anyone thinking of exploring direct payments?
What one bit of advice I'd have is basically don't let people choose your staff for you, because with what one person likes, so for example, what my mum and dad would like in a PA, I might not like when I meet them. So make sure you the employer have the freedom of choice to do that. And another advice, people, it does get hard because you do lose staff. But you've just got to be proactive in trying to recruit other staff. And recently, I've got another staff member on board through an advert from Embrace, which is good. But that's the bits of advice I give, really.
So you would say, all in all, that they're definitely working for you, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
And if I'm putting you on the spot now, but if you could sum up your experience of direct payments in a few words, what would you say? What would you say to people listening?
I can sum it up in one word, Lee, and it's freedom. It's freedom to do what I want to do.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, you couldn't wish for a better summary than that. Thank you for giving us that insight, Jordan. I found that really insightful, that really useful. And I wondered if anybody listening into this call, so thank you again, Jordan. I wonder if anybody listening in wants to just maybe ask a question to either you or me using that chat function. Again, I think you've done a great job there. And it seems to me you've got a wealth of skills and assets, and you're using them all. You know, and I've known you for a short period of time, really, but the amount of confidence and the amount of, to nick your word, freedom that you're exercising, and you've got all these passions, again, to use your word, and you've got the freedom, haven't you, to explore them as and when you choose. It's been great speaking with you, Jordan. Honestly, you're a credit. You're a top bloke, and I hope you continue being as busy as you currently are.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Bro, have you got a few hours? Should we do a bit of a Q&A, Lee? Because I've got some sort of pre-asked questions that I could put forward.
Let's do it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okie doke, great. I'll just give this a... So we're both on, pal. Even though I think you're the star, I don't think they want me on, but I'm here anyway. So I'll make myself useful. Cheers. So let's just have a quick look at this chat. So just loads of positive feedback for you here, Jordan. Just saying thanks so much for sharing. So like I said, if there is anything additional, and Lee's already said, if there is anything additional that there's anyone on the call wants to know, Jordan's, happy to answer. Lee, obviously Jordan's given us quite a bit of detail there about a direct payment. So if there's people on the call, when they finish education, if they continue to kind of need some type of assistance, whether that's assistance from social care, direct payments is an option they could choose, which Jordan's explained. I'm just wondering, maybe could you give us a flavour of some of the other options available to people?
Absolutely. The thing to remember as well is that this is absolutely focused around the individual themselves. So at no point would any option be forced on you, and at no point should you ever feel as if you're being guided down a track down which you don't want to go. So this is very person-centered, to use a buzzword. So when you're exploring alternatives, what we tend to do is focus on what it is that you're interested in, what it is that you're good at. Again, I used the words assets and skills before when talking with Jordan. So we start by looking at the things that you want to do with your life. And then we start to look at the best supports around that. So it isn't done conversely. We don't say, what about one of these options? It very much starts with you and what your skills are, what your interests are, what your current hobbies and passions are, and supporting you to identify what your future ambitions and aspirations might be. So there's a whole continuum of options available to you. So you've got, along that line of options, you've got direct payments, as Jordan's just kindly explained. You've also got employment. Lots of people have the skills and abilities and drive to secure paid employment, and there's absolutely no reason why that shouldn't be explored. So there's a whole range of paid employment opportunities available. There's also volunteering opportunities available to you. There's even support if you wanted to run your own micro enterprise, your own mini business. There's even support that we can gather and pull around you to make that real for you as well. There's lots of services out there, and you can engage with many through more of an informal route. Jordan's getting lots of support from the rugby club there, and that's not a service that anybody's paying for, but it's more like a real engagement opportunity around which friendships and relationships prosper. But we do have more formal supports available as well. As a council, we have 4 of our own day service options available to people, but we've also got the ability to tap into lots of external services. They're called CICs. That's a community interest company. Now there's a wide range of external day services available as well. So we would, as a local authority and social care officers and social workers, support you to explore the very best options that are available out there to you. And of course, that's not a lifelong choice. You can try these things and flit about and try something else. What we want is the best mechanism to support you and your future ambitions.
That's something as well. And another thing I've just thought of that I didn't add in the chat with you, Lee, is what my PAs have done in the past is that I don't do it at the moment, but I used to play wheelchair football and I knew nothing about it. And one of my PAs that has unfortunately left for another job, he was the one who said, "Oh, why don't you try this?" So that wasn't even me seeking that out. So when you get that bond with your PAs as good as I have and as good as I'm lucky to have, they seek stuff out for me that I don't even know about. So I've gained a passion through my PA. I've not gone and seeked it myself.
And that's what we call a community engagement activity, to sound a bit posh. But that's you're absolutely right. That's part of the whole range of options available to you and people on this call and others who weren't able to join us on this call. There's lots of community-based activities out there that aren't formal in terms of a service, but they're absolutely brilliant. And you wouldn't believe what's available out there. There are literally hundreds of activities available to you on each day of the week. So we'd love to support you to explore those as well. Does that answer the question, Chris?
It does. That was fantastically, really good answer. And cheers, Jordan, for adding to that as well. So we've got a question in the chat, and it says, what would happen if my budget doesn't give me enough money to have a PA?
Well, it's a great question, and it's probably something that lots of people worry about. But I suppose what we can do is just revisit that answer I gave a few moments ago. What we do, we start by supporting the individual. So you would have an assessment done around your needs, including your aspirations, and helping you to identify what your future ambitions are. And then at that assessment, we arrive at a figure, if you like. We arrive at a sum of money that should support your needs. And it's at that point, really, that we get as much detail as we can using a circle of support. So we'd ask you lots of questions. we'd ask family, we'd ask friends, we'd ask whoever you want us to involve in this support mechanism. We'd ask lots of questions to find out what support you might need now and in the future, and we'd arrive at some money.
I mean, I could just add to that as well,
yeah.
Nicola, is if someone has a budget, so whatever that budget might be, it wouldn't be less than £10 the budget. They would either not have a budget because they would be assessed as not needing social care support, or the budget would be, you know, £10 or over, say per week, for instance. Everyone has got a choice whether they want to have a commission service, like I said, if they do have a social care need, or to take that money as a direct payment. So essentially, as long as you had more than £10 in your budget, you could employ a personal assistant. Obviously, the amount of money that's in your budget would determine how many hours you could have that personal assistant for. And that obviously would go from person to person, that would be different. But in answer to that question, I think, you know, there wouldn't be a situation where you wouldn't have enough money in your budget to employ a PA if you had a budget. It would be more, how long could you employ that personal assistant for? How many hours could they work for you? And say, for instance, you got someone who went to a CIC for a day a week, and they said, I don't want to go to a CIC anymore, I'd sooner employ my own PA. There would be enough money in the budget to change and employ a PA. That would be a possibility.
It is a slightly tricky one to answer because we're probably being really generalised and a little bit woolly without understanding your particular circumstances. But if you are able to join this evening's session, we've got Lloyd from the direct payments team actually on the call this evening, and I'm sure he'd be able to give you a real good insight into anything that maybe Chris or Jordan or I have just missed out now.
Lee, in terms of another question, so we might have young adults on the call now, and they've been looking at, say, a CIC. So they've been along and they think that's what's for me. I'm interested in a day service at this moment in time. Mm-hmm. But actually, I've got a long-term aspiration to work. If you go to a day service from education, do you have to stay there? And will the day service or the day opportunity be trying to develop your skills in order for you to reach a sort of maybe a longer term goal?
Again, it's a great question. It's a really good question. Yeah. Now then, we've just done a quality driven piece of work with all the external CICs. Just to give you a bit of flavour of that, day services aren't regulated by CQC as other specialisms are, such as residential and nursing and home care. So we as a local authority decided that we would pay a closer attention to the quality of the external day services market. So we co-produced a quality standard, what we're calling the ethical framework, with the external providers, with the Learning Disability Partnership Board, the Family Forum, and with people currently attending services. And we drew up a list of criteria that we expected day services to hit. Now, one of the criteria there is an expectation that CICs, day services, focus on people's future ambitions. And for quite a large number of people who currently attend day services, that is employment. A large number of people who attend day services want to eventually secure paid employment. So we've done this quality piece of work, and there are now 11 external CICs on that list, on that ethical provider list. And all 11 are really focused on supporting you to develop employment-related skills, to build on your existing assets, to focus on the things that you'd like to explore in the future. And they're really well placed in a timely fashion that goes at your pace and at your speed as you develop those skills. They're well placed then to support you to explore employment or volunteering or any other option that suits you and your future needs. So it's a great question, Chris. You're right. When you go to a day service or a CIC, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be there for any kind of lengthy period. when you're ready to do so, they can and we can support you to move on.
Brilliant, thanks, Lee. And just to add to that, then, so if we've got young adults on the call, and I suppose never say never, but the young adult may think, my social care support needs are such that employment might not be something that I'm thinking about. It might not be a goal for me. But if I go to a CIC, does that mean that I'll not be working towards any kind of outcomes? I'll not be developing. So once I finish school, I stop developing. Or even if employment's not the end goal, will the CIC still try and develop my skills?
Absolutely. And again, what a great question. Yes, they are very much focused around supporting every one of the individuals that attend to further develop the skills and abilities. So, for example, somebody quite rightly may not have the drive, the ambitions, or the skills to secure paid employment, but they may eventually want to live on their own or in a shared premises. So if that's somebody's goal, then what the CICs will do is support that individual to learn to cook, to learn catering skills. They'll support you to learn how to use a washing machine so that you can look after your own laundry. They'll support you to do some shopping so that you can go and get your own groceries. So you may be supported to learn money skills or independent traveling skills, road safety skills, all based around your skills development. If living on your own or moving out the family home may be something you want to explore in the future. But even if that isn't on the cards, Chris is quite right. If really you just want to develop some skill or passion that's nothing to do with the exterior world or work or volunteering, but you've just got something that you want to develop and focus on, again, the CICs are there to support you with that.
Correct. And Jordan, if you could just add, would a personal assistant do that? So would your personal assistants try and develop your skills?
My personal assistants do. Like they, especially Emma and Brad, who I've mentioned today on the call. I'm going to the gym. So, for example, if my dad tends to lift me into my chairs or tends to help me in that way. But they've got to the point where they say no, Jordan, you go into the gym for a reason. You do it yourself. So it's just that gentle push sometimes. And sometimes for me, it's just realizing why I'm doing something, because I can see the benefits of the gym. But sometimes, like, I'll be honest, people have lazy days and they don't want to do stuff. Sometimes it's hard to transfer. You're tired. You don't want to do it. But it's just that extra push for me to do stuff like that.
Brilliant.
You've hit on an important point there, Jordan, just to pick up on that. That's exactly what all our services are doing in Wigan at the minute, including they're focusing on developing independence for people and resilience. So you're quite right. At some point, we all need that gentle push. We all need that. And that's really a strength of a really good staff member, is not to do things for you, but to do things with you to a point whereby you can do it yourself. So independence is what we're striving for. And that might be creating a piece of art independently. For some, it may be an independent eye movement that can trigger some software around making a decision. And for some, it's around whether to have paid work or not. But there's a whole continuum of support out there available to people. But I think at the crux of it is promoting as much independence as we can for people and increasing resilience.
But what's another good thing as well is I mentioned my coaching and coaching at the rugby, and because the team, the lads, the coaches know that I'm independent, even if they catch me not doing something myself, they'll pick up on it and say, Jordan, do it yourself because we know you can. So I've even got that support there where they'll even pick up on that now. So I've not even just got Emma on my back. I've got a whole rugby team and coaches on my back to be independent. So
Smashing.
So we've got, like I said, young adults on the call, and I know we've got Hope School is one, or I'm not sure if it's the college. And so we've got students and they've had a great time at upskill, and then they've had a great time in the college, and they've moved to a CIC maybe next year, and they hate it. Every minute of it, whatever it is, whether it's the staff there, whether it's the type of things that they're doing, they really don't like it. How easy is it for them to kind of change and move to somewhere else and do something different?
Wigan Council are really keen to support choice, and I think it's something that we should all enjoy. And if at any point in the future, for whatever reason, you choose to explore a different option, then we're absolutely there to support you. And I think really what would drive that is the confidence, really, which takes a bit of bottle to say, do you know, I've enjoyed my time here, but it's not for me anymore. I want to see what else is out there for me. But as soon as you stick your hand up and say, I think I might want to move, then we're there to support you. And again, we'll take a backward step and look at everything that's available that suits you as an individual, based around your current need, but also around what it is you just want to do. We've all got something, haven't we, that we want to do. And if that CIC just isn't supporting that at the minute, let's look for one that does. And it's relatively easy. But it starts with you making that choice.
And could you move from, say, a CIC to a direct payment in terms of employing personal assistants? And then equally, could you employ personal assistants but then change to a CIC if you wanted to? Is that possible as well?
It is possible, yeah. And there are even people that have a blended support as well.
Right.
You do have PAs of an evening, weekends, to gain support around a particular passion during the week. But they also attend a CIC as well. So we're really focused on not pigeonholing people. It's not a term I'm dead keen on, but we're really focused on that. It's absolutely around the individual and what's best for each of you. So if it's a blended support using 2 or 3 different mechanisms, let's go for that.
Brilliant. And I don't want to put you on the spot here, Jordan, so if it's a difficult question to answer, that's fine. But if, for instance, you had a personal assistant, so we've got, you know, someone on the call and they think, right, I've listened to Jordan today and I've really enjoyed that talk and I am going to need some support, so I'm going to employ a personal assistant. They like them when it's the interview,
Yeah.
But then when it comes down to it, the day-to-day, they really don't get on. Do they have to sort of stick it out with that personal assistant?
No, you don't have to stick it out. But what advice I'd give is like I said, my mum and dad are a great support. So make sure you have that. If you are doing it, try and make sure you have that. Literally 1 or 2 people you can go to and say, I'm not feeling the relationship with this PA, and it's not working. So as long as you have that support network around you to say, oh, this isn't working, it's fine.
Brilliant. No, that's great. Thanks, Jordan.
Not a problem.
Great. Right. Well, I can't see. I'll just check.
I think there is a question in there.
There is. I can see.
Someone's asking. Yeah, could I choose a CIC who isn't part of the ethical provider scheme? Again, all great questions, these. And I know you've heard this before when people say no such thing as a bad question, but it's genuine. If there's something on your mind, ask it. You can. Let's just visit the ethical provider framework again for a moment. So we co-produced what it is we expect from day services. We co-produced that vision, and it's a future vision that's shared with Wigan Council around what day services will look like going forwards. So we co-produced that. We devised an application form, and 54 CICs applied to it. We then did a round of interviews, and through all that quality-driven mechanism, we arrived at these 11 on the ethical provider framework. And we as a local authority are pretty confident that those 11 on the framework can support the needs of everybody coming through the system, as it were. We can rubber stamp those providers in terms of us understanding their ability to support people, to develop skills, to form and understand and identify passions. Those 11 have proven that to us. So we're the ones that we're focusing our efforts on. So they're the 11 that we would tend to focus on in terms of looking for support for people coming through the system, because we're confident in their ability to support people. There are still providers operating in the borough that didn't make it onto the framework. We would look to the 11 first, because their range of supports at the minute seem to be able to meet the needs of everybody coming through. But if for whatever reason they don't, we could look at providers that aren't on the framework, but we're not as confident that they're able to support you in developing those skills and independence, as well as the ones that are on the framework. That's not to say there's not some good ones out there, but they just weren't able to demonstrate that to us during that process.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lee. Thanks for that. Is there a list of the 11 providers that are on the ethical framework?
Yes, there are. And I think it's something that we're going to post after this event as well, on the local offer web pages. I'm sure that's something that will be available to you. And I think I'm more than happy to put my contact details on there as well. So if that list doesn't appear in the next couple of days, feel free to drop me an email and I'll share that list with you. Absolutely a pleasure, no problem at all.
They're in the chat now. You can see that there's a link to the Preparing for Adulthood Week website. If you click on that and then go into the My Support section of the website, no worries, there is a list there. So it says the following day services are currently on the ethical framework, and it's Green Crew, Grow Forgiving, the Hub, the Hamlet, IDS, My Life, One Vision, Reflection, Steps, Thrive, and True Colours. But you can go there, and then on each of them, there's a link to their individual websites. So everything's on that website. So you can click on there from today and go and have a good look.
Thank you, Chris. Great stuff.
Cool. So I can't see any questions, and I think we've done a good go at questions there. So unless there's anything else, I'll give it a sec.
Suppose that's a good note there from Deborah, isn't it? That in terms of evaluating this session, I think there's the ability to click into the link there in the chat function. Let us know what you think.
Brilliant. So I'm just going to bring this recording to an end.